Hey, Shalom, this is your brother Ywanathan. First and foremost, want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash. Want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Now, yesterday at camp, we dove into the topic of hell and how it is not a place that you burn and go to forever. Reason being, we going into this topic as of late. You have some Israelite groups who are converting over to teaching what the Christians and the Catholics teach, that hell is a place that in fact that you burn and go to forever, and it's not scriptural. Okay, now some of you probably heard the lesson, but we did have a scoffer come up for the duration of the camp and was being unruly. So some of you may have heard it, some of you may not. You know, the guy stayed there, like I said, for the duration of the entire camp. Seemed like a old disgruntled Jake that may have got kicked out of a camp or used to be a part of One West. Seems like one of those guys. So, you know, he gave himself a death sentence. I'm pretty sure when Yahweh Shai judges him, that night will run through his mind. He's probably had many other moments like that as well. But with no further ado, man, let's get into it. The first precept we're going to go to, and I'm going to try to condense this as much as possible. All right, Ecclesiastes 3, and we'll go to start at the 16th verse. All right, it says, "And moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment." Now, under the sun, it's talking about the earth. Okay, it's pretty plain just reading it there. But if you want to back it up, and if you're teaching this yourself and you're going into this point, you could just go back to Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, and the 3rd verse. It says, "What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun?" So that's clearly letting you know that when that phrase is being mentioned, that it's a slang term for the earth. Our people always spoke with a little bit of poetic tone to it, even now, or a prime example would be back in the 70s, those black exploitation movies. You take somebody from Ireland or Edomite from somewhere and show them one of those movies. If they had to break down the dialogue, they wouldn't be able to do it, man. It's the same thing with the scriptures, man. The Bible is for the prophets, okay, and a lot of the poetic speech that is used, man, it bugs people out. You know what I mean? But the Bible is for the prophets, and the highest authority in the earth in which the Bible can be interpreted or broken down is going to be by way of the prophets, which are going to be men of Israel. All right, Bible scriptures tell you that. You go to Amos 3:7. It says, "Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets." All right, but again, you can go to Ecclesiastes 1 and 3 to back up Ecclesiastes 3 and 16. So this is Ecclesiastes 1 and 3 once more. It says, "What profit hath a man of all his labor he taketh under the sun?" Yeah, all this, everything that you do here on this side, man, it's in vain unless it's building up the spirit for you to walk uprightly and piously towards Yahweh Shai and offend less. Now let's go back to Ecclesiastes 3 and 16. And I'll start at verse 15 actually. It says, "That which hath been is now, and that which hath been already," Salakia, "and that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past." So, like this talks about in the first chapter as well, there's no new thing under the sun. So that means there's no person here that's new either. And then when you go to, I believe it's the 6th chapter, it tells you what the thing that hath been actually is. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 6 and 10. You see, regeneration or reincarnation, how they say in the world, and the topic of hell in the scriptures is something that you got to kind of go over simultaneously. They go hand in hand. All right, and this is one of the first things you learn when you come into this truth is how life and death works. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 6 and 10. It says, "That which hath been is named already, and it is known that it is man." So that's the thing that hath been. All right, now we go back to Ecclesiastes 3:16. It says, and moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment. So we broke that down already. We went back to the first chapter to prove that under the sun is talking about earth. So the place of judgment is earth. Okay, hell and heaven are living conditions. People live out those conditions here on the earth. And moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. Is there righteousness in hell? In the hell that the Christians speak of? Would there be righteousness there? No. But you have righteousness here on the earth. You have people that actually call on the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai and are repenting and trying, their best to offend less and walk uprightly towards the Lord. All right. Now we jump down to verse 20. It says, all go unto one place. All are of the dust. All turn to dust. Again, so it's saying all go into one place. All the spirits return unto the Father. So let's go to the 12th Ecclesiastes 12, and we'll get that. Ecclesiastes 12:7. It says, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was. Yeah, your flesh is going to decompose and go back to the elements. All right, your body is made up of elements, all of which you can find in the earth. And you have the worms and the maggots as your body decomposes that convert you back to those elements that can be found in the earth. All right. Ecclesiastes 12:7 again. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. All right. Now we go back to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, and the 20th verse. Just kind of continue down this path here. All go unto one place. All are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of a man that goeth upward? All right, returns unto the Father, goes back unto the spiritual realm. Scientists will say it's the 4th dimension. Okay, but it's a spiritual realm. And the spirit of beasts that goeth downward in the earth, because they simply die. They come back, more litters are born and all that. But the spirit goes back into the Father, receives a judgment, and every 3 to 4 generations, like the scriptures say, we come back every 3 and 4 generations, returns into the earth and lives out his judgment upon the earth. Okay? Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that his portion, for who all bring him to see what shall be after him. All right? And his posterity is going to be after him. So yeah, man, hell and heaven are living conditions. And this train of thought of, people living out their judgments here on the earth, it's all throughout the volume of the book. Yahweh Shai didn't turn that or rebuke that train of thought in John the 9th chapter. All right, so it just adds more proof to, this is the understanding that was given unto our forefathers from the heavens. All right, so this is John 9:1. And it says, and as Yahweh Shai passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. Now stop. You got to ask yourself, why are they mentioning that the man was blind from his birth? We're about to find out. Verse 2. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents? Now, if he was born blind, he couldn't have done anything in his life that, his judgment here and now was to be blind. You can't do anything as a fetus. All right? And then it goes on to ask, or his parents, that he was born blind. All right? Meaning, okay, did this judgment fall upon him for something that his parents might have done? Okay? But the answer was neither. This man specifically was made blind so that it could be proven when Yahweh Shai healed him that he was, in fact, who he said he was, which was the Son of God. Okay? Verse 3. And notice Yahweh Shai didn't dispel this train of thought to his disciples. Verse 3. Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Okay, there you go. So that train of thought, is divine. It's upright. It's not a place that you burn and go to. Now we go to Matthew 5:22. All right. Matthew 5:22, it says, "But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment." Yeah, you being perverse towards a brother, especially a believer, man. The Lord's not down with that. For no cause, yeah, the Lord's not down with that, man. You're in danger of judgment taking place, judgment falling upon your head. You understand? We continue reading here. "And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire." Now, when you look up this word here for hell in Matthew 5:22, the word is Gehenna, and it's in reference to the valley of Hinnom, which was south of Jerusalem, where they would burn trash or dead animals. Also, where he had Jake, they would go out there and do wicked sacrifices. Okay, sacrifice on idols and do wicked things, man. But it was again a slang term, a figure of speech to say that somebody was in danger of being judged. It was a perfectly fit figurative way of speech of the future judgment for the wicked in this time too. All right. So all throughout the book, you'll see that word for Gehenna there for hell being used as Gehenna. But when you go to, there's also many places where the word, when you look it up. Let me find an example here real quick. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to go to, Matthew 11. When it talks about Capernaum, it talks about this well-to-do city. So let's go to Matthew 11:23. It says, "And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell." And the word there is going to be Hades. Now, someone who's more learned, off the bat, they're going to realize, Hades, what is this Greek mythology term doing in the scriptures? The scriptures have nothing to do with Greek mythology. So you'll be able to kind of pick them like, oh, they just going off. But even still, you'll see here, that this is another figure of speech, that somebody's in danger of a low living condition. Because Capernaum was, it was Beverly Hills to Compton. It was a well-to-do city that they boasted in their riches. But Yahweh Shah was saying, hey, man, you guys are going to be brought low. You're going to be brought down to a low living condition. That's what was being said here. Okay. Now, you go to Matthew 16:18. It says, And I say also unto thee, thou Peter, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church. And we know who Peter was in the regeneration. Okay. When you go through the scriptures, you know who's right under Yahweh Shai when the kingdom of heaven is established. And the gates of hell should not prevail against it. All right. And therefore, gates of hell, it goes back to that same word Hades that they use, G86. And it's just talking about, this devil, his way, that horrible living condition or destruction is not going to prevail against the establishment of the church being built up. So back then, the church was established, and now we can go back to it and read about it and the establishment and all of that, and it thrives today in our time. And the gates of hell are not going to prevail against the spirit of Yahweh Shai in the earth. Okay? All right, so when you look up that word Hades there, for the definition of the biblical outline usage in G86, it says, named Hades or Pluto, the god of the lower region. So off. You go to second definition, it says Orca, the netherworld, the realm of the dead. Off. Third definition says later use, the grave, death, hell. Okay, so there you go. That's right. Hell was when it was used throughout the scriptures, synonymous with the grave. That's all. But you got a lot of people who are teaching heresies, man, things that don't line up with the scriptures. They go to Luke 16, and they break that parable down with Lazarus and the rich man wrong, when it's a parable of what? Esau and Jacob. Them being in this lofty position here in this time, And then that changing of place is happening. That's all it's going into in Luke 16. All right, even in the word there in Luke 16:23, it goes back to that word Hades as well, man. But they see that one little, they read that parable and they see the water dipped on the man. Let him dip his finger in some water, and they come up. Oh, then what the Catholics teach, it must be true. What the Christians are teaching must be true. Nah, man. It's just going into Esau being brought down into that horrible living condition. So yeah, that I could keep going, but I want to keep it pretty much brief and to the point for you guys. If you need more detail, ask questions on the comment board. I'll do a lesson on it. But Abba Ratzazah, man, that was edifying. I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, few sisters who are pursuing this truth and sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Also, when you go to Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, and his desire is hell. It's the Hebrew word sha'wal, and that's also talking about the grave, all right, in the Old Testament. So everywhere you go throughout the scriptures where you see hell, it's basically just talking about the grave. All right, shalom.